Welcome to Tech Talk Tuesdays, a webinar series designed to inform and guide individuals on effective and efficient assistive technology currently being used throughout Wisconsin. My name's Lene Jabus. I'm the Central Regional Coordinator for the Transition Improvement Grant and will be the moderator for this webinar. Today's webinar will focus on 3 robust communication and relay apps that can be used by individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. Hamiton CapTel, which is a phone captioning app, FlipWriter, which is a text-to-speech app for the office or for the workplace, and P3 Mobile, which is a video-based telephone relay system. Before we start, I would like to review a few housekeeping items with you. For sound quality and control purposes, the host will mute all mics. Mics will remain muted throughout the webinar. Questions or comments can be submitted throughout the webinar. To submit questions, please click on the question and answers icon located at the bottom of your screen. When the Q&A panel appears, you will have the option of submitting your questions either by using your name or you can submit them anonymously. To send questions anonymously, click on the Send Anonymously box located at the bottom left side of the Q&A panel before submitting your question. As I mentioned earlier, the focus for today's webinar is on 3 amazing apps: Hamiton CapTel, the FlipWriter, and also P3 Mobile. And guess what, folks? We have a delightful individual here today to show us how to use those powerful tools. At this time, I would like to introduce you to Laura Plummer. Laura is a rehabilitation technologist and sensory specialist with SVRI, which is Stout Vocational Rehabilitation Institute. She conducts assistive technology assessments in the areas of hearing and vision losses, as well as computer access. She serves as the Wisconsin Technology Program Director and also referred to as WISTech. Ms. Plummer has both a bachelor's degree and master's degree in deafness and rehabilitation counseling and takes an active role in learning and using the latest electronic gadgetry. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen, stop sharing, and we are going to have Laura pick up. So here we go.
All righty. Well, thank you, Lene. It's great to be here today. And I'm going to get ourselves shared over, and hopefully we are there. So are you able to see that iPad screen?
Absolutely.
Great. All right, well, thank you everyone for being here today. As Lene said, today's focus on the TIG Tech Talk Tuesdays, which I cannot say as quickly as she can, are some apps for individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing. And so we'll jump right in, and the first one that we're going to be discussing is the Hamiton Relay app, CapTel app. All right, we'll let our camera get a little focused here. And the Hamiton app, I will go again, it is by Hamiton CapTel app, and it is designed to provide caption telephone services on a mobile basis. This began actually as a product made right here in Wisconsin by Ultratech. It's called the CapTel phone, which is a landline or internet-based phone, just like you would have on your desk, that provides captions so that someone who is deaf or hard of hearing is able to listen on the phone, but at the same time can read what the other person is saying. So very similar to captions on your television, but it's for your phone. And so once everyone had their smartphones and tablets, we saw them release the Hamiton Mobile CapTel. And a couple of points to note is caption services are provided free of charge to individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. Having said that, in order to utilize the services, they do require that someone be deaf or hard of hearing. So it's not just designed for anyone else to use. So there is a registration process. And how this actually functions is you would download the app, and then you'll be prompted to make an account with Hamiton Mobile CapTel. Now, once you have that account, you can also use it on your desktop computer your iPhone, your iPad, your Android device. But again, it is designed specifically for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. And it's developed so that they can make and receive phone calls using their mobile devices. And I'm going to switch our screen over here a little bit. Okay. So essentially, make sure I get this so we can see the whole thing here. Okay. So what you see here is actually my login screen. So it has my username and it has my password, and then I've entered my phone number at which I'd want to make or receive my captioned phone calls. The next area you see is a call me number. This is designed if I were to set up a specific number that I would hand out versus handing out my cell phone or desktop number. And Lene, I'm not sure why this is jumping around, but hopefully this is not going to be too disturbing for folks. So on this screen, I have some options. So I can save my calls, so I can refer back to them. I can change my font size and color, as well as the background color of those calls. So it gives the folks some options on what do they have, what's the best way that they can do that. So if someone has a vision loss, they can make that font larger. If they can see different contrasts or colors better, it allows them to do that. It allows me to actually save any phone calls. And then I can also have all of my contacts. And so I can choose to make calls for that, anyone in my contact list. Now I'm showing this on an iPad, but ideally it would be on your iPhone that you would be utilizing it. So how it actually functions is up here, I would come in and I would type the number that I want to call. Once I hit the call button, that's my office line, that phone will ring in my office. At the same time, my cell phone will ring. And we become connected with whomever I'm calling. And in the middle of that call is a captionist. And what that captionist is doing is they're listening to what the other person is saying. Then they are immediately revoicing it into a computer using voice recognition technology. So that then whatever that other person says now comes back and is visible on my screen so that I can read what the other person is saying. And again, you can do this from your desktop computer and as well as your iPhone or your iPad. Now, a couple things to note. When using it on the iPhone, the Hamiton app does require that your device has access to data and voice at the same time. So what that means is some providers, such as AT&T and Sprint, those phone providers and the network they use allows someone to be on the phone and on the internet at the same time. You may have seen some commercials where someone is on their phone and they're ordering their wife or husband a Christmas present because they forgot. The providers such as that, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Sprint, their networks allow voice and data at the same time. If you are a Verizon customer, your network does not allow that. So that if I am a Verizon customer and want to use my iPhone to make a caption call, I also have to be in a Wi-Fi internet area. So at a restaurant that has Wi-Fi at my office or at my home, I can use my Verizon phone to make and receive a captioned phone call. And again, I can save that, and it just gives the user the ability to use their existing hearing as well as having the backup of reading captions at that same time. And Lene, are you still there? And do we have any questions on that?
Yep, we do not have any questions at this time.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll move along to our next app, which is the FlipWriter AAC app. Okay. This is a new app that came out within the last couple months, and it's called FlipWriter AAC. And it has multiple purposes. Can be used by individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing, as well as individuals who have a speech impairment, maybe someone who's had a stroke, or has difficulty speaking for whatever reason. What's unique about this text-to-speech app is that it allows the person, you'll see a keyboard here. And so on this keyboard, I can begin to type a message. Now, as you notice, there's going to be other words that are popping up, and that's called word prediction. So if I want to say hello there, I don't have to type it all out. It will complete it for me. I'm just going to slide this over just a little bit. Okay. But at the same time, you're going to notice at the top of the screen, the words are flipped back upside down. Now, normally this app would be used laying flat on the table so that as I am typing, the person that I'm talking to who is across the table from me is reading this right side up. So if I decide that I want to give this message, so I'm typing, hello, how are you? Hello there, how are you? As soon as I tap this,
hello there, how are you?
It will actually speak it out loud. Now, there are free and paid versions of this app. The free version does not allow you to change voices, and it does not allow you to save the messages, nor does it allow you to automatically erase with one button. So there are differences between the paid and the free version. Generally, I have people start out with the free version, so we determine whether or not it's going to be a match for them. What's pretty helpful is, again, you've got the person on the one side that is typing, and then on the other side, the message comes up so that they have the ability to read it right side up. Now, an example of how things are saved is right up here. I hit this arrow, and then I've got a message I've already typed. And as soon as I hit it, it auto-completes it for me.
Hello, how are you?
And then I can X out, and then I have a blank screen so that I'm ready to go. Now, some people use it with the speech, and some do not. One of the reviews for this app online points out that it's one of the few that does have a very, very loud volume, so that they're able to use it, say, at a Starbucks to order their coffee, or another noisy environment. Whereas some of the other speech apps that I've utilized, the volume is not significantly loud enough to be heard in a noisy environment. So that is the FlipWriter AAC. And I think those are all the highlights or the notes that I wanted to touch base on that. And again, Lene, I'm going to ask if there are any questions or anything related to the FlipWriter.
Yeah. Do you happen to know how much the for cost is by any chance?
They recently changed it. Up until about a month ago, it was $9.99. And I don't want to be quoted on this. I think the last time I checked, they had added some more features, and it was closer to around $50.
Okay, real good.
So I purchased the paid version for $9.99 about a month and a half ago, and have updated it. I haven't been prompted that I had to buy the other more expensive version or anything.
Yeah. And that when I show the resources page for this webinar, that's what I had on there too, $9.99. But I didn't know if there was any updates.
Yeah, and that kind of took me by surprise. And I'm not 100% sure that that's what, unless there could have been a glitch in the iTunes store.
Okay.
We do know those things happen.
And real quick, since we're asking questions right now, for the Hamiton CapTel, you said that's only people who have a hearing impairment can get that?
Anyone can download it, but you have an agreement screen when you make your account that states that you are deaf or hard of hearing and that you are utilizing that.
Okay, very good.
And I've gotten permission to have an account because I am hearing, so technically I shouldn't have one, but I use it for demonstration and assessments, and so they approved my account.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yes. All right. So the next app that we're going to highlight is by Purple, or P3. And we're not going to be able to see a whole lot on the screen with purple. So we've talked about individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing that are still speaking for themselves and using their residual hearing to make phone calls through the CapTel app. And then we've referred to folks that need one-to-one communication that may not speak for themselves. So they're using the flip writer to type their message, and then the device speaks for themselves. So moving on to that, we have individuals whose primary language is ASL, or American Sign Language. And so for them, they would prefer not to type. They have a preference to use their primary language, sign language. So there are a variety of apps out there or services that provide what's called VRS, video relay services. And what this involves is using an app and the camera that is on their device. That could be an Apple device or an Android device, could be a Windows phone or tablet. This app is available on all platforms. So the individual who is deaf or hard of hearing will create their account. Again, it's required that they agree and say that they are deaf or hard of hearing and need this service because it is provided free. And they'll sign in with their account, and then they will use their camera to contact or make a phone call via video relay. And what that means is that they'll dial the number over here, and then that call will be placed. And in the middle of that call is a sign language interpreter. So the individual who is deaf, once that phone call connects, that person will sign to the interpreter what they're wanting to communicate. The person they're calling, who is hearing, will voice their answer to their question or their dialogue. That sign language interpreter will then sign it back to the individual who is deaf or hard of hearing. And that's why it's called video relay. And this is for phone calls. So it's, calling for a job interview. It's calling an admission office at the college that someone's applying to. It's calling to go hang out with your friends or order a pizza. It's simply called video relay. And Purple is one provider. Hamiton is a provider, as well as Sorensen. So it kind of depends on just who they've gotten their account established with. The letter Z, VRS, is another service provider. And it's very common that someone who's deaf or hard of hearing will have 2 or 3 providers that they use. And it'll just kind of depend on who they want to call, which one they feel is working the best that day. So just like you or I might wear different pairs of shoes, someone might use different video providers at any given time. And along with that, I just want to clarify, excuse me, we talked about video relay services, which is VRS, and that was our Purple 3. You also will see another Purple app called VRI. And I just want to highlight the differences between VRS and VRI. VRI is video remote interpreting. So it's the opportunity to use your tablet or your computer to bring an interpreter into a meeting. These are paid interpreters, and it is a paid service. But if someone lives out in the middle of nowhere and they have difficulty finding a sign language interpreter, you can actually use a paid service such as Purple VRI to bring in an interpreter into the room with you for that meeting. One of the benefits of using remote interpreting, although it does cost money, it can often be more affordable because you're not having to pay the travel time of an interpreter to come in to drive 2 hours to your meeting, and then a 2-hour minimum to be in the room, and then 2 hours back to their place of residence. So I just want, if anyone is downloading these, puts in Purple, they will see the difference between VRI and VRS. So are there any questions on those apps?
Yes, with the VRI, what is the turnaround time then? Do they have to actually request that, is it a week or is it
It's going to depend on, there are other providers, but generally the benefit of using VRI is that it's more of an on-demand service. So you can, once you've got your account set up, obviously VRI, they're going to require payment information, things like that. If it's a workplace, they may need a contract. So, but generally it's a much, much shorter time frame. You don't need to call 2 weeks ahead in order to get that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have to have internet access
That's
for
correct.
that to work.
Yep. Yeah, you'll have to have high-speed internet. You obviously need a device. If you're using a computer, you want to make sure the processor is good, camera is good. Camera quality with all of these things, as we know, is important.
Okay. Wow. Well, that was really helpful information. Did you have any idea? I know you said that it was for cost. Do you have any idea about how much that is at all?
I do not know the
Okay.
exact cost of that, but I do know that you can do it in 15-minute increments,
Okay.
which is very, very affordable compared to, again, the 2-hour minimums at $65 an hour for face-to-face interpreters.
Right. Well, that's great.
Yep. And then I did want to share 1 or 2 other quick apps if we have time for that.
We absolutely do.
Sure. The other one I wanted to show was the Sorensen Buzz Cards. I've occasionally worked with individuals who have difficulty with speech due to their hearing loss or whatever reason, but they're not really great about being able to type out a full sentence. They want something faster. So what I've pulled up here is the Sorensen Buzz Cards, and it allows me to pre-program in some very quick messages, and then they're larger print. So I can just hold that up, and when I'm going to place my order, right there. And I can hit done. I'll go back. And just real quick questions. Communication, it's a pretty spontaneous thing. And so giving someone a tool to really quickly be able to jump into a conversation is very helpful. So that's Sorensen Buzz Cards. It's free. And the other one I want to show is called Speak It. It's probably my all-time favorite app in the whole entire world. So I'm going to go ahead and X out of that. All right. Okay. So Speak It is a program, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and
Hello, my name is Bob Cooper.
okay. So I'm going to X out of there. Okay. So what this gives me is a blank screen. I can type what I want to say. And notice it did put my punctuation in there. Okay. And so as soon as I finish that, I can hit.
Howdy, it's snowing.
Okay. I can change my voices with this. I can change my text font size, my volume of the speech, my voice speed. So if I want it to be faster or slower. And my camera really likes to see it adjusting itself here. My apologies on that. See if it'll settle out. There you go. All right. And then I can also save it. So I can save this message so that if I knew I wanted to say that a lot, I can do that. I can change my voice for male, female, British, English, American, what have you. And Speak It is $1.99, $1.99. So it's a pretty inexpensive app. I've used it for many, many years, and it's one of my favorite that is existing. So those were just a couple other ones that I wanted to share.
Now, does Speak It go across various platforms, or is that just an iPad, iPod?
Both Buzz Cards and Speak It are Apple-based.
Okay.
There is a version similar to Speak It in the Google Play Store. More than one, really. They are they're kind of hit or miss on how robust they are. Speak It was developed by a company that actually does speech translation originally. And so when they first started releasing some of their English to Spanish, things like that, I contacted them and said that I just want English to English. And they had been in the midst of starting to develop that when I contacted them.
Wow.
And then I had one other quick one I was going to show, because this really isn't about speech communication necessarily. But the Dragon app is one that most people are probably fairly familiar with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out our text. Actually, let's select it all. Oh, it's not letting me delete it all at once. Let's go. Okay. So the Dragon app requires internet access. So I'm on a Wi-Fi network right now. It simply uses speech to text. And so one of the examples I share is I worked with a gentleman who lost his hearing pretty much overnight from a virus. He was having a difficult time speech reading. He had a lot of doctor's appointments, and he couldn't understand his wife. So they came into the office, and we showed him this app right here. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how it works. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now? Okay. So I just dictated that into the app. It transcribed it perfectly. And so that's what we use. The wife would use this then to communicate. They left my office and went and bought an iPad and then downloaded the free Dragon app that night. Now, once I've done that, I have options. I can email it. I can tweet it, Facebook it, whatever, copy it. So I have the ability to do that. So that's one benefit if you did have someone coming into your office who's deaf or hard of hearing, and you needed, instead of writing a lot of notes, you can use Dragon to dictate what you want to say.
Wonderful. And you said that one's free. I think we're going to be covering that one actually in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We're going to be going through Dragon. So that's wonderful.
Great. Good. All right. And I can exit my full screen. I will go ahead and do my stop sharing, and I will turn it back to you, Lene.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, I would like to personally thank you for joining us today and going through these wonderful resources with us. What I will do is at the end of the series of these Tig Tech Talk Tuesdays, I will do a running list of apps and so forth that have been covered throughout the year. Obviously, people have been generous enough to ad lib, and if we had more time to go ahead and show some more apps, and I think that's wonderful. So with that said, if you're looking to find or watch this this presentation again, you can do so by going on our TIG website, which is www.witig.org. Or also, I would strongly encourage people to follow us too on our Google Plus page. We have our own YouTube channel specifically for Tig Tech Talk Tuesdays. So we're up to, I think, 6 pre-recordeds now, or recordings. So that cover various different apps as well as different assistive technologies. So please go ahead and tap into that. So thank you again, and we hope to see you next Tuesday, which will be February 24th, 3:30 to 4:30 for the next Tig Tech Talk Tuesday webinar, which will be on Dragon, Natural Speak, and Kurzweil. So we'll see you then. Thanks again, Laura, and I'm sure we'll be chatting soon.
Sounds great. Thank you, Lene.
Thank you.